Hi there, welcome to Friday Forum Live, coming to you live from Point Blank Music School here in Hoxton, East London. I'm Marcus Barnes, and today I'm joined by Ableton Certified tutor, Freddy Frogs. Nice to have you here, Freddy.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
But before we get into the Friday Forum, just want to let you know about a few highlights that have happened this week. First of all, next week is the last week of our headphone competition with Shure UK. Head over to Facebook to find out more information about that. Secondly, we've had a brilliant new video from Ski Oakenfold. He's deconstructed the musical elements from Get Free by Major Lazer. So if you stay on the YouTube channel after this broadcast, you can look up that. And then finally, online courses start again April the 1st. Head over to pointblankonline.net and you can find out more about the courses. So, Freddy, what are you going to be doing today, man? Let us know.
Right, we're doing Ableton Live 9, and especially Max for Live. Some of the new elements given to us have truly enhanced our workflow, and the possibilities are just now endless, staggering in fact. So something I haven't really seen explained anywhere yet, so I thought I'd go through that. We've got the push here. It's not going to be a push demonstration at all. I'm not feeling yet confident enough to give a masterclass with that. I might, you might give me some questions I might not answer, so I didn't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
So I've got it here, so I may as well use it, but I'm not. This is definitely not a push demonstration. So we're going over some concept that I develop a lot on the online minimal course with Ableton Live. I always say to the students, a minimal track, and also techno, lots of different genres, is about creating a microcosm of sound. So we want the elements of our tune to interact with each other one way or another, rhythmically, sonically, volume-wise, all sorts of different interactions. So the new tools we have in Max for Live allow us to do that at another level, really. We could already do some stuff with side chaining and gate side chaining, auto filter side chaining, compressor side chaining, but we now have some major tools to implement this type of relationship between the different sounds inside the track. So we're going to do that. Now, I'd like to warn you that this tutorial or this masterclass is kind of advanced. You need to know your way around Ableton Live already. If you're a beginner, you may want to watch this masterclass once or twice to be able to mimic some of the techniques I'm about to go through. So that's something I really wanted to tell you. All right, so without further ado, we're going to do a little music together, starting with a blank canvas here. First of all, we'll go through the new drum synths that are coming with Ableton Live 9 and Max for Live especially. And then we'll go and move on to these new modulation tool, we should call them, and make a little music together. So if you open your Max for Live tab here in your new browser, in the instrument tab, you'll find 14 new drum synths here and there. So the classic kick, snare, hats, shakers, tom sound, but also not so classic FM type synths and glass synths here, which will allow you really to create some like odd, analog, cool sounding sounds that are not your typical drum sounds. So if I load a kick synth to start with, there goes the interface for you. Pretty neat, well laid down. I'm not going to go through all the features with you. It's pretty self-explanatory. And in fact, the reason why I'm not going to go through that is because I believe that you're never at a better place to craft your sounds with a synth when you don't actually know what the things do. Mm-hmm. And it might sound a little bit paradoxal, but the more you're trying to anticipate what these dials are going to do, the less experimentation you're going to do basically. So I love. It was hard for me to go from analog in the 90s to software.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I like twiddling these dials, and when we went to watching screen, it took me a while to get into it.
Yeah.
So push, just like an APC, attaches itself to any device that's been selected. You can see here the blue hand, the control surface blue hand here, indicating that this controls now this synthesizer. So best is to turn away from the synths, from the actual interface, and just use the dials here. But before I do this, I'd advise anyone to actually load a drum rack. So you load this, the drum rack is like a little, say, a box into which you can load samples. But a lot of people don't know that you can actually load any synthesizers or MIDI effects or audio effects inside the pads as well, which makes it really the perfect environment. The reason why I'd advise to use the drum rack is because the push you see is now gone into drum mode here.
Right.
If you load the synth on its own, it's staying into what we call note mode, which is not as convenient. It doesn't give you the step sequencer and all these like lovely pad to tap onto. So that gives us the sound.
Sounding
And
good.
that's pretty convenient to have that over there. So if I were to create just a simple, let's just use the actual push since we have it here. It's not starting, lovely. Yeah, it is starting, cool. Right, and cool, let's add some more there. 130 BPM, sounds cool. I'm into techno, so I'm going to just do that.
Let's
And
roll
you
with
see,
that.
without watching the actual synths here, just make sure it's selected. Yes, it is. I should be able to shape my sound without watching. You see,
Nice one.
I'm
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
tempted to do that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
almost
yeah.
tempted just to go off. Yeah, the proper. I had a discussion with another Ableton tutor yesterday. He was like, I'm not sure about this synth. I'm like, listen to that.
Yeah, man.
So there's some parameters I can't access directly from the push.
Right.
I probably can, but you see, that's the type of certain things I haven't really worked out yet. So classic, add a bit of pitch envelope, gives you a bit more aggressive, and the damp. Now we're talking.
Cool. Yeah, man.
Now we're talking. So that's really easy to use. There's no even need to explain anything there. Better you don't know what to do. You just tweak them until it sounds good.
Yeah,
End
yeah.
of the story. So I've prepared a rack. In fact, I call it the Point Blank Techno Rack. Can we put that on the website so people can download that later on?
Sure thing, man.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
So
yeah.
I've called that the Point Blank Techno Rack.
Cool. Yeah, hand it over and we'll get that on the website for
Okay,
sure, man.
okay. So you'll be able to download that after the masterclass. So what it is simple. It's kick, snare, hat closed, hat open, tom and clavis sound. I didn't want to overload the rack because it's quite CPU demanding and that would slow down your computer.
Yeah, yeah.
Why is it so demanding? It's because in fact there's not just one kick in there. There's 4 kicks, and
Right.
you can choose between 4 kicks, 4 snares, and 4 sets of hats, which I think makes it a little bit more versatile. Well, let's do another classic thing here. And as I said, you can choose the type of kick here. Softer, longer. So go for the harder one. They're kind of similar because, as I said, it's kind of techno.
Yeah.
The snare's now gone a little bit more white noise into it. Let's go for our hat. Yeah, let's do that. And let's add some tom in there, somewhere there.
Yeah.
Cool, just classic, yeah,
Wicked.
nothing special. We've got access to the volume as well on my rack here. Cool, and that'll be just our classic bits to start with. So remember, you can download that for yourself later on the website. So let's focus a little bit on these tom sounds here. Let's just solo them. Cool. Now, these synths come velocity sensitive enabled already, so they feel how hard you press. But I'd like to demonstrate something really interesting here. Let's just modulate a little bit the velocity of these toms. So to do this quickly, like so, I'm just pressing Command, hovering my mouse above the note, click, hold, and drag up and down. Up makes it louder or velocity higher, and down makes it quieter. So you can hear now. So you get different velocity. The last one is so low we can't even hear it. Let's just add a bit of beef to it now. Cool. So as default, it will control the velocity, but I'm not that much interested in that. What I'd like to demonstrate now, and this is where we start to modulate a little bit within Ableton Live. In your Max for Live tab here, in the Max MIDI effect, you'll find all sorts of really, really cool plugins, including expression control to start with. So let's grab that one and load it onto the pad directly. Cool. And it places itself directly in front of the synth right there, yeah? So it's a MIDI effect. It transforms the MIDI information before it hits the synth. Therefore, you can manipulate and transform the MIDI information before the synth receives it. Therefore, the synth interprets it slightly differently. So we got different modulation sources here. This is wicked. This is the expression control here. I can see with the push would come really handy because you see one of the sources after touch. And the pads here are aftertouch sensitive. They send aftertouch, so that means that once you've pressed the pad, if you wobble it, it'll feel that. And that's another expression control. And you could assign that to do anything you want within Ableton Live. So that opens the door to so many stuff. I've been playing around with that. I'm not going to do that with you. Yeah, I'm not going to do that with you today because it's not the subject of today's lesson. But let's enable the velocity. So these talks I was moving earlier on, and let's enable that and to map. We're going to map it to the pitch. You can hear the pitch changing. It's a little high up in the range. Let me just change the range here to try to Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so we can hear that. Now we get pitch changes as well, so it's already having a bit more life in the sound. You get me? It's not as stale as it was. Another one of these modulation control is the LFO. Okay, we got an LFO MIDI, an LFO audio. I'm going to grab the MIDI just now. There it is. So LFO, low frequency oscillator. It's a movement. It's an oscillation of vibration, you could say. Vibration, sorry, my French. Vibration, and you can use that. You can't hear it because it's too slow. Yeah? We can only hear about 20 cycles per second, and this is below 20 cycles per second. But you can use that movement to modulate, to move anything you want. So you could cross-map this modulation anywhere in Ableton Live.
Cool.
On the same track you've loaded it on, or on a different track. Great. So that, if you start to think about what that enables you to do, it's quite staggering. So I'm just going to use it on the track for now. I'm going to map it to the depth of my my tom, and you see now that the depth is moving at the rate specified here. I'm going to make it sync to Ableton's tempo. You can hear some long ones.
Yeah.
Some low ones, yeah? I'm not so happy with my modulation here. Let's make it a little louder. Yeah, it's a bit better there. So you can hear some of them are long, some of them are short. Again, you're adding movement. The more alive your sound will be, the better they'll sound, you know. And straight away, if I play that now with the rest, it's starting to have movement. It moves. It's got accent. It's got. It's alive. Do you know what I mean? This is what you want from every sound. You want them sound to have something to say. When you solo your sound, you want them to be interesting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If they're still, and these two are perfect for that.
Wicked.
So that's the kind of stuff I was wanting to show. What else? There's a really cool function that I do with Impulse. Impulse is an instrument that comes with Ableton Live. It's been there since day one. And I kind of overlooked it for years. I thought, it's a bit rubbish. I prefer the drum rack since Live 6. And then, you know, I discovered that you could map the velocity to these talks I was moving. You could assign the velocity not to control the volume as they do as default. You could get that to modulate the pitch. You could get that to modulate or change the transform, the filter, the pan, the stretch. So that's really cool, and it's really cool for sound designing. So I'm going to mimic, and this was not possible with simpler, or you know, some of the synths. So I'm going to do this now. I'm going to create a really quick succession of sounds here with the clavier, yeah? So you see I'm doing a really fine grid here. If you want to know the shortcut, command 1, that makes the grid much shorter, shorter. And command 2, you see, it halves the grid. Command 1 doubles the grid, so, you know, get a really short grid, get your pen out through a really quick succession of nodes here. Now, something really interesting people don't really know about, if you haven't got your pen icon, you get your mouse icon. So by the way, new shortcut in Live 9, you only press B now, and you can toggle. So if you get your mouse there, and you press and hold command, you can draw a line there, which allows you to make a really quick crescendo, and it's a proper crescendo, do you know what I mean? It's like really regular. So at the moment, let's just solo that clavier. Yeah, see that, I mean, that's a bit low at the moment. Let's get that volume up a bit, right there.
Yeah, bump it up, man.
Yeah, starting to sound cool. Right, and using expression control, the one I used earlier on, that MIDI effect from Max for Live, I'm going to load that in front of the clavier, and I'm going to modulate the pitch with the velocity. And now you can see the pitch moving up.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, more movement, nice. Generally talking, you want movement. Yeah, it's starting to sound okay, cool. So let's hear that in context. Cool, we're starting to hear what we want. Good, so I'm going to add another tweak here. You see the tom-tom I had earlier on? It's cool, but I could add now note echo. Note echo is there, again, in your MIDI effect, in your Max for Live MIDI effect. So this allows us to generate a technique we used usually with audio. It's called a running delay. So a running delay, you place a delay after a sound. Percussions work well with that. And basically you can double up the rhythm, you can jazz up basically the rhythm of your sound. Something we've been doing for years and years, but now we can do it with MIDI. So remember on my MIDI clip, I've got 3 different tom hits here, yeah? Now I'm gonna load note echo on the tom pad if I can. Yeah, there we go. Cool. I'm gonna place it in front of the expression here, because the order, obviously, of the effects matters enormously, because it's a series change. So placed at the front of the chain, it will work better. So Note Echo will generate extra hits for that tom sound. I'm going to turn down the feedback. I don't want a long tail to my delay. I just want one hit.
Yeah.
And listen to that. You can hear the extra hits that have been added. It's already more live, more fun. Let's have it on a 3/16, so a bit more of a triplet feel. Add a little bit of swing. With delays, it's quite nice to have a tiny bit of swing, so the hits don't fall exactly on the right increments on the actual, quantized increments, and that basically adds groove to the composition.
Yeah, sure.
I could also pitch up or down the extra notes. So it's madness, yeah. When you can do that, listen to that. So you see, with no sweat, I was able to create some really interesting. Really interesting lively sounds, basically.
Sounds quality.
Cool. So that's the modulation effects. Now, what I haven't done yet, and I'm going to do now, is to map these modulation effects across the tracks. That's when it becomes really interesting, because that's where you can start getting your sounds to interact. So one sound's rhythm can influence the volume of another sound and stuff like that. So let's do this. Let's just create a new MIDI track, if I can. Yeah, there we go. Let's load an operator, which is just simply, that's the default setting, nothing fancy. So we're going to create a really long MIDI note there. Cool. And let's hear that for now. Sub bass, yeah. Cool. So I love FM synths, we should all do. And if I start raising the second oscillator, I'm just not even going to change the diagram here. I'm just going to leave it as is. So you're starting to hear how much grit you're getting from the sound.
Yeah.
So one extra new modulation control envelope. There it is. So earlier on we looked at LFO. LFO is a cyclic movement. It repeats itself over and over again.
Yep.
Pretty neat, fun. Envelope is another way to modulate, to move a parameter. But this time it's not cyclic. It's got a beginning and it's got an end. It's a movement over time.
Yeah.
Okay. This is called a 4-stage envelope. So it's got 4 different stages.
Yep.
The envelope is started. It just generates the stages, or it starts when a key is pressed usually.
Okay.
So you could still use that as is, and it's called trigger. There it goes. Yeah, trigger. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use it as a sync. So it's not the MIDI note that generates the envelope, but the envelope is generated in time with Ableton's tempo, creating more movement even. So we'll have to set it up. Let's map it. Again, you get the map button here. Let's map it to the second oscillator. Let's run it. Cool. At the moment, nothing exciting. Let's just... Yeah, all right. And an LFO doesn't do the same thing. It's just not the same, because at the end of the sound there, from here to there, from the end of the decay to the end of the time that's giving us by the increment on the sync, well, there's nothing happening. So the movement is actually very different from an LFO movement. So that's pretty cool. Let's hear it in context. I really do need to hear the rest of the sounds to feel. They're kind of hypnotic.
Yeah.
Could give it a bit more of a triplet feel to try and get something a bit groovier. Let's try. Yeah. Let's try. Let's try to raise a bit the time here. Yeah, it's kind of a bit jazzier there, yeah? Yeah, I prefer that. It's more in between bit. But that's pretty cool. So envelope, yeah, another one of these modulation control. Loving that one. I love them all, really. It's like a new world is open to us.
Yeah.
As an extensive user of live, these tools are really exciting. You call me geek, but like, this is just.
I'm sure there's loads of people out there.
I'm not into. I don't buy tons of plugins. I'm satisfied with what I've got, and I recommend anyone out there to do that. Yeah. In my experience, the one who talk the most about gear are the ones who make the less music. Right? It's about do what.
Yeah.
Do it.
Keep it simple,
make it fine with what you've got, and go deep inside what you've got. These days, people have so many plugins available. There's so many stuff available that you could tweak these dials and this knob for the rest of your life. You need to grab one device you like and
learn it
dig
inside out.
Dig it to the bottom of things, you know. And that's something I really said to the students all the time. So that's pretty cool. There goes the fun. Let's cross map now from one track to another. So if I, the technique I want to kind of emulate there is something we've been doing for years. If you get a gate audio effect and you've placed that behind your synth, that synth at the moment is kind of continuous, isn't it? I could use the sidechain, and this is what I was talking about at the start of this masterclass. I could use what we call the sidechain on the gate and cut the volume of my synths using my hats, for instance. That's a classic one, yeah? So you can see now that the hats grayed out here. So if I bring my threshold into the hat's movement, now let's play the hats at the same time so you can really understand that the hats are triggering this. Right. Now, yeah, with a little bit of tweak on the release, for instance, we can get that movement back. Yeah. We haven't kind of lost it. That's pretty cool, but that's nothing new there. Well, in that same line of thought, we could kind of do the same thing with the hats now. Let's load our expression control onto the hats.
Cool.
And again, let's use velocity and use the map button. Look, I've enabled the map, now it's flashing. I'm going to go and grab something on the other channel. Okay, so okay. I could use that on my oscillator 3 level, which is going to make the sound slightly brighter. It might jump up a bit. We'll have a look, yeah? Yeah, there's some clicks are generated there. So I might want to go and tweak a little bit. The range in there. Okay, that's my velocity. I'd rather stop, by the way. I don't know if it's because the push is attached, but it feels that, I mean, they're still fixing the bugs in Ableton Live 9. Right. It's a classic from a company. They will the first update of the software.
Roll it out, then they have to tweak
the first update of the software is going to be super important. You're going to really fix the bug. I feel there's a little bit of a bug. If I'm running push and if I'm running my Ableton Live, I have to wait a little bit. So I click map, I wait a little bit, then I go and map it.
So there's a slight delay when you're. Yeah,
it's all right.
It's all good.
You stop the playback and that's it. You can really do things instantaneously now. Let's try to reduce a little bit the range of that velocity. Yeah, I'm not happy with the jump here. Let's move it onto the open hat because I've got less open hats playing, so maybe that would sort it out. Yeah, still a bit buggy, dude. Yeah, not great. Let's try to map it somewhere else, man. Let's just work it out together. How about I go and use my my fine control here, which is going to detune a little bit that vibe, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit quirky. It's a bit quirky. I like that. Let's get the range down a bit as well. Oh yeah, that's it. Now we've got a double sort of whammy, like the texture is moving on, it's morphing a little bit. I love that. Cool, let's hear that in context. Yeah, that's cool, that's groovy. Yeah, I'm a little bit clicking, I'm a little bit hitting the red on the master. I'm going to lower down my channels here. Cool. Right, time for another little one?
Yeah, sure, man.
Yeah? Okay, the convolution reverb in Ableton Live is obviously a big one. I wanted to chat to you about. So let's bring that Convolution Pro. You've all heard about the new Convolution Reverb. If you haven't, get out of your house and talk to people. Convolution reverbs are nothing new. We've had it in Logic for 10 years, but the convolution reverbs are high quality reverbs, CPU intensive, but high quality reverb. It's not a digital reverb, it's not an algorithm basically. It's actually taking a print of a real space.
Okay.
So say you go to your favorite church, take a mic, slap your hand, record the reflections of the slap, and load that into your reverb. It's called an impulse response.
Right.
Ableton Live comes with an impulse response generator. It's called IR. What is it? IR measurement device. Yeah, and you could. Oops, there it goes. And you could basically grab the print of any effect inside Ableton Live. So you could load an amplifier, an amp behind the sound, and grab the print of that and use that as an impulse response, which gave me an idea. Obviously, the convolution it's called Convolution Reverb Pro. That comes loaded with superb space. Like there's loads of wicked preset, and in a real, in a normal reverb setting, you'd use that. You could also grab any IR impulse response from the internet. There's loads. They're free. You can grab loads everywhere, and you can use them. But what I got an idea with here is that I'm thinking, well, how about I don't load an impulse response. I load a sound that has a lot of texture, a lot of frequencies, and it's rich.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm thinking maybe I can give a real color to my reverb. So I try that, and it works straight away. So Ableton Live clips here. There's a new, like the brand new clip section in our browser. There's loads of clips. Some of them are audio, some of them are MIDI. Anyway, I settled for that one because it's got loads of color. So it's a little bit abrasive, yeah. Watch your ears, guys and girls. All right. I took it because it's rich, yeah. It's got loads. It's got a high pitch. It's got loads of vibe in it. So at the moment, it's an ALC, Ableton Live clip. I just dragged it from the clip section. You can't load that in the Convolution Reverb. So what I'm going to do, I'm just simply going to highlight a part of it, Command L to loop that part, right click and crop it. So it's actually shorter. But in the meantime, Ableton Live has converted it. It's not an Ableton Live clip anymore, it's a WAV file. So you can load that into your convolution. Simply bring up the convolution, grab the clip, drag, drop. As simple. Couldn't be simpler.
Yeah.
Right, get rid of the clip. There it is. That's my convolution here, loaded with that waveform I just cropped. Yeah, fantastic. So let's make it all wet. It's on a return channel. You always want to have your first chain, your first effect in the chain as an all wet. And let's send something into it. So I'm going to use that new session view automation recording thing that everybody's been talking about. I'm not even going to go through that because it's been explained 100 times already. Oh, I want to hear the whole thing. Yeah, hold on a minute. I want to hear the whole thing to know exactly when I should send it. Bear with me. That's it. So now this has been captured. We could do that before with clip envelopes, but truly it was not easy. So that's so much easier to do that.
Simpler way of doing
it. Look, we got this going in there. That's it. So it's got a little burst in there, and you can hear the reverb. It doesn't sound like a reverb, does it?
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's got color. So that's like sound designing. It's not. I'm not using it as a reverb at all. Let's bring it down as a shorter thing. Let's try that. Amazing, yeah. It's updating the waveform as you're changing the kind of. You go super. Kind of quick for what it does. There's all sorts of tweaks to be done here. The position of your head. I mean, reverb changes depending where you're standing in the room. But the EQ is cool. Gonna get all the dirt out of that. Boost a bit what I like. It's a bit brighter now. Let's hear that in context. You find that it's not a reverb at all. It's a new sound that's now merging. Okay, so amazing new stuff. This is so much fun. I mean, I've been loving it.
How long have you been spending sort of getting yourself into all of this stuff?
When I like something, I don't sleep when I like it. So 2 nights. Now the thing is, I've had Live 9 for about 3-4 months now, and I've gone around all the possibilities. Not all the possibilities. The thing is, Ableton doesn't tell you; they want us to find out. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. So we got something. If I got 2 more minutes.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I've got Freddy's favorite tips.
Okay.
So yeah,
cool.
I wanted to show you the small things that are changing our workflow as an everyday user, and they're really simple. It's not going to take too long. Okay, so different various things. Yeah, no relationship between them. So one thing you can do now is press 0 on your keyboard to deactivate the nodes. All right. So say you've got all sorts. Let's take my MIDI part there. Let's say I just want to hear my my kick drum. I'm going to highlight all the notes, and to do this, I'm pressing on the keys and dragging down, and I'm highlighting all the notes, but the kick, and I'm pressing 0. All the others are deactivated. I can now focus on the kick. Something that was okay to do before, but we've got maybe 2 steps less now. It's a bit quicker. It also works for clips. So if you want to highlight the clip, press 0, clip is disabled. We could do that from a right click before, but now it's much quicker. Now, another really, really neat feature. Look, if I'm highlighting a MIDI note, I'm pressing Command down, and I'm using my left and right buttons, I can nudge the note. Can you see? It's moving ever so slightly. We've had that in Logic for about 10 years, but Ableton has finally catch on to that. What this allows you to do is turn your eyes away from the machine. Yeah. If you want to feel how your swing is coming, watching that screen is everything but making music. So I insist, you know, you want to feel how these notes are sitting in the groove. Don't look at the bloody screen. Do not look at the screen. And move while you're not watching. Listen. Your brain is got so much more power to give to your listening and to your appreciation of music and timing when you're not watching. It's like your brain is, you know, giving a little bit of the power.
It's like a distraction, isn't it?
Yeah.
When
it's like your CPU is on your computer is doing two things at the same time. You know, stop one thing and then it's got more power to handle the one thing you want to do.
Totally.
So again, you know, wicked. That's for me was really needed. Okay, and I'm not going to go too long. One more. All right. Cool. If I create a new audio track, so Common T, you notice that my track hasn't got its volume all the way up.
Right.
All right. On the production course, any course I teach, the first 3 weeks, I'm going to have to repeat that about 10 times a day. I'm going to tell people, look, Ableton Live is not really lenient when it comes to clipping the master.
Right.
As much as Logic is all right, Ableton Live, you hit red, you hear it. You can't hit red in the master. It's called clipping, right? So people naturally tend to lower the master, and I tend to say, dude, leave the master at 0. You want to be as loud as anybody else.
Sure.
Don't lower down your master. It's tempting because that basically fixes the problem, doesn't it? In fact, what you got to do is lower your channels, and you select all the channels and lower them down. Well, what's happened now in Ableton Live 9 is that we can set a new default settings for your channels. Okay. So what happens if you look at my channel? I'm going to create another one. If you look at my channels, it comes down with the volume right down. Yep. So I don't have to do that because I do that anyway every time. So I don't have to do this anymore. Now, if I look at my device chain here, you notice that my channel has come loaded with some effects preloaded.
Right. Okay.
I've loaded an EQ in there because I'm going to EQ every sound. That's, you know, there's no doubt. I'm going to EQ every single sound. So I've loaded an EQ there, so I don't have to load it every time. It's disabled, it's bypassed. So it's not dragging, it's not taking any CPU away from my computer. Even if I'm not using it, it's not a problem. Now, if you're into recordings, if you're doing a recording session, you could have this type of things on your channel. I've got a gate, an EQ, and a compression. That's the type of device chain you would almost always use when recording something. So you can have that tucked away in a rack. The rack is disabled, it's off. So it's not taking any CPU. You can tuck away everything like so. Doesn't bother you. To set this up, how you would do it, you'd load the effects, set them up the way you want them to be, set the volume the way you want it to be as well, and all you got to do is a right click onto your track's header. Right. And at the bottom there, that's the new function, save as default audio track. And as soon as you've done that, whatever the setting is at that moment will be retained.
Stores it.
Right. So I'm going to leave it there. I could go on for an hour and a half, guys and girls, I've got hundreds of things I'd like to share with you. I had to settle for a few different techniques today, but truly it was difficult to really...
to pick the ones
really, I want to do that. Oh, we've got no time, we've got no time. So, well, that's what I've done today.
Cool, man.
And that's it, really.
Well, I'm sure it's been really beneficial to the people watching.
I might have been a little quick on some of these demos, I'm known to be a little too quick on my demos, so if you... as I said, if you didn't get some of the stuff, watch again the masterclass. It'll be okay.
It'll be up in like 10, 15 minutes straight onto the YouTube channel.
Go and download the rack.
Yeah. If you hand that over to me, I'll get that up on the website.
Yeah, cool.
And before we finish up, I need to ask you a few questions because there's probably a few people out there that probably might not know who you are. So first of all, what do you actually do for Point Blank?
Right. At the moment, I'm teaching online exclusively. Okay. I was for 4 years the Ableton tutor at the college, and I've developed all the courses for the college, the on-site courses. So we've just finished up a new Ableton certificate. That's a dedicated certificate. So it's 9 weeks, 12 weeks on introduction to production, so the basics. Then 12 weeks again on sound design, exclusively on Ableton Live. Yep. So you'd get, at the end of that, you'd be able to do Ableton packs, sample libraries and score for movies. So it's really proper sound design, Nice one, it's transferable to your own music, obviously. These skills are transferable. And then the last 12 weeks are 6 weeks of mixing, intensive mixing. And with the new tools we got in Ableton Live, it makes total sense now. and 6 weeks of performance, because I'm a
Yeah.
live performer, and for me it was essential to include at least a 6 weeks performance, because it's full cycle, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
rewarding as well. You've worked hard like a rat in your studio.
Yeah, you want to get out there.
And then you get out there and you get the reward for your hard work. So I've done that. And I've handed that over to Nick now, a colleague, and I'm now exclusively doing online work. So production, introduction, 8 weeks. Performance, minimal tech, and I cover sometimes for sound design and dubstep, stuff like that.
Nice one, man.
Cool.
And you're also Ableton Certified. How do you go about getting yourself certified by Ableton?
So I think it was one of the first batches to be certified. How did I go about? I've been asked this question a lot online and at the college, and a lot of people are trying to get in. There's about 170 people certified around the world, so that's a lot more since when I went there.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I don't think they've opened the certifications at the moment. They're too busy with the new release, so a lot of people are getting a little bit frustrated. If you have sent an email to the certification people in Ableton Live, they are usually very good answering, but they are very busy at the moment, so don't get frustrated. They will get back to you. So how do you go about it? I think a lot of people would like to know that. You send a video of yourself teaching Ableton Live already.
Okay.
You write a curriculum on Ableton Live, and they will send you a little lesson. You need to make a lesson plan and basically teach the lesson in front of them, and they will tease you with loads of questions and stuff. It's not too hard, okay? It's not too hard. If you're passionate about Ableton Live, you will have it, no problem.
Cool. And obviously
you have to pay as well.
Oh, how much do you have to pay?
I don't know. I don't know at the moment. It was about
since-
€1,000 when I did it.
Right, okay.
But that's the best €1,000 I've ever spent.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
And you're also a musician. What gigs and projects do you have coming up?
Gigs.
Where can people check you out?
May, Finland, 11th Finland in May. Then 27th of May, we're going to a festival in Scotland.
Oh, yeah?
In the wild.
Sweet.
And it's like Knock Festival or something like that. I can't really pronounce it properly. Asian Dub Foundation's playing there.
Nice one.
They're friends of mine, so I'm really waiting to meet them again.
Cool.
Then we got Glastonbury. Glastonbury,
That should be cool,
end
man.
of June. Then we got Boomtown Festival.
Oh, I've heard loads of good things about that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Boomtown is in August. That's about it, really. And also new release on Beatport, digital only, because I've been pressing records for years, but now I'd said, I've decided to go digital only. It's cheaper. So yeah, new release on the new label on Beatport, my own label, coming in June.
What's it called?
Techno. It's Frog Techno.
Okay.
My label is called Frogs.
Yeah.
Only Frogs Techno. Just didn't want to change the name too much. It's a bit silly, but there you go. I'm not really like, how would I say? It's not really intelligent. Just to the point, something like that.
And finally, obviously, being Ableton certified and being an experienced musician, you've got a lot of experience that you can pass on and a lot of knowledge you can pass on. Have you got any advice that you can give to young producers that are out there watching right now?
Yeah. Always have a few beats on the go. Don't get stuck on one track. Don't spend a week on one track. Change, vary. Have a few tracks on the go. It's essential to vary the pleasure. One day you wake up with a different mood, you want to do some type of beat, you get bored of one beat, you always have something else to work on too. So juggle the different projects you're working on too. Don't get really focused on one project, and you can't see clearly otherwise. You really focus too much and you can't see clearly. So if you're hitting the block, if you're like facing the wall, you don't have any inspiration, you either don't work on the track and you do sound design. Spend an hour, set up a control surface to control all the parameters on your synths. Don't look at your screen again.
Yeah.
Just tweak. Go into a zone, tweak it. Every time you hit a nice sound, boom, save it. And carry on tweaking some more. Don't think about what you're doing. Just move the dials, try to feel it. Save it. That's a good exercise to do, and you build up a library of sound on your own. So when you want to make a beat, you just go, bosh, grab all your favorite sounds, try them out, they will work. And if that doesn't work, go out, meet some friends, meet some new people, have some new experience, get out of your studio. That's where our inspiration comes from. It's not by getting stuck on our computer. Go and meet new people, have fun, go out in the nature, get inspiration from stuff. Don't get stuck, get out there, And that's some important advice. If you are serious about your music, and some parents are not going to like what I'm going to say, put all your eggs in the same basket. Don't, quit your day job. I'm saying I'm not yeah, I'm not actually being funny about it. The only people I've met that I've managed to make a living out of that and are now, you know, a good living out of it, are people that never looked back. They've been told, they've realized they had a talent at some stage. That's it. They put every effort, all their time and money into this. And it's the only way to get it, really. You have to be passionate about it. It's difficult to say that because I might be driving some people off the cliff there. But
you know,
in my experience, the only people I know that have done it big are people that have done everything to get it, everything. There was no half measure.
Well, it's such a difficult industry to get into that you do have to kind of jump into it feet first. Otherwise, you know, if you're distracted with a day job or you're distracted with having a relationship even, it can take away, can't it? So
yeah, relationships are suffering from music.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I'd say Aluna George, she was at the college, she was my student. And you could tell she had nothing else in her mind but that. She was completely dedicated. She had talent. You could see it straight away. I was like blown away by her. She was sucking it all in, man. She was just so submerged in music. She was breathing music. You could tell. So the few people you meet that have that in them, you know, you can tell straight away they would get it. Because they breathe music, they feel music, they can think just about that. I have to say that I can't sleep sometimes. It's just my head is going round in my tracks. You know, I've got music on the go and I can't sleep. It's really, really obsessive. Yeah. It's got to be a bit obsessed about it, I think.
That's why you need to jump back onto Push and have a little more fun with it.
I'm taking this baby home.
I just got one question from online.
Right.
From Carl O'Neill, he's asking, what Max devices would you recommend to enhance more acoustic sounds like strings and guitars? Have you kind of got that far into it yet?
Yeah, I've had Max for years now because I've had it for years. So the question is to enhance strings and guitars.
Yeah.
You want to flatter the high end, don't you? You want to make the high end shine a little bit. So some kind of exciter. I'm not sure it's going to be a Max to Live device. You can work with saturator in Ableton Live. If you don't push saturator too much and you don't distort, it will make the high end shimmer. Add a lot of 10K. 10,000 hertz is what we call air. Yeah, AIR. Yeah, as air. Add some air to your strings. You may not perceive it exactly like being really obvious, but it will make things shimmer. And you want to flatter the high end, so try to enhance about the high harmonics. So have a little low cut on your EQ, on a return channel, for instance. Send your strings into that. Cut up about 5,000 hertz, maybe slightly below, depending on the strings, depending on the range it's playing, obviously. And then add a saturator behind that. And don't push it a lot, don't drive it too much. And try to move the bass, there's a bass button, move the bass button and the color button just to try to make the shine really breathe and add some shine, it's called. Add some shine to your strings. That's for strings, right? And if it's cello, not as much. Yeah, I'm talking violins here. If it's double bass, forget it. Do you know what I mean, Carlo? Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff I would advise. I mean, you also have to watch your compressors on guitars, for example. The fingering on guitars is very important. So depending on like the mic was placed, and I would advise to have different mics on the guitar. Yeah. But you often hear the sound of the fingers on the strings. Yeah. If you don't set your compressor properly, you may enhance by mistake. You may enhance the sound. Yeah, you may enhance the sound of the fingering. The strumming, it's called. Strumming. Be aware of that. So watch your attack. Yeah, watch the attack, and if you try to get the attack so you're actually catching the fingering, and you don't actually let the fingering being enhanced by the compressor, you get it right. So depending what you're after, I mean, if you're after an intimate flamenco, you might want actually the fret. You might want a bit more fret on it. So it depends what sort of guitars you're after, as well. Electric, acoustic, what genre? But watch the body of your guitar. Obviously, below 100 hertz, you've got to cut that off. And from 100 to 300, you may want to cut that down, depending on the recording again and the guitar itself.
Most definitely.
There's often a critical area there. But we're talking sound engineering there, yeah. We're talking. So if you're interested into that, Carlo, watch. Google Bob Cat, who is one of one of the famous mixing engineer, and Bob Katz has written lots of books about how to record stuff, how to engineer stuff, mostly with traditional instruments like guitars and strings. So you might want to do some research onto that, yeah?
Wicked. Nice one. Thanks for coming in, Freddie. Really appreciate it, man.
Wicked.
Just to say, everyone that's watching, don't forget that Friday Forum Live takes place every Friday at 4 p.m. And we have loads of really great tutorials and gear demonstrations coming up. So make sure you tune in every Friday, 4 p.m. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you've got any more questions, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Thanks for tuning in.